Hey y'all, today we are going to talk about intervals on a graph. So, first of all, we need to go over a few things so that you remember how to read a graph. We always read a graph from left to right when you're looking at lines. So, if I'm looking at this line, I'm going to read it from the left side to the right side. Left to right, left to right. You always read graphs left to right. Let's go ahead and make that a reminder for ourselves, and let's write it at the bottom of the page so we don't forget. Always read graphs from left to right. Okay, so you always read graphs from left to right. Start on the left, read it to the right. How is it going? Kind of like these lines up here. Start on the left. How is that line going from left to right? It's going down. Okay, so let's start on our notes about intervals. So if I were to say the word interval, you probably think about a piece of time. An interval, a piece of time when something is happening. The interval in football games, the interval in sports games, the intervals in your school day. It's pieces of time, how things are happening. So let's go ahead and look at our notes. And at the top it says, a blank on the graph is the space blank 2 points or values. So an interval on a graph is the space between 2 points or values. So an interval is the time or the space between something happening. On a graph, an increasing function moves upward as you move to the right. So it's going to move up as we go to the right. So if this were to be a little sketched out graph, do this with me. As I'm increasing, my function is going to move upward as I go to the right. So let's say I start right here with my first point. And increasing is going to go upward as my pencil or pen goes to the right. So that would be increasing. On a graph, a decreasing function moves downward as you move to the right. So let's show that on our sketched out graph over here. As I go right, my line is going to go downward. So if I were to start up here, as I move this line, these points, it's going downward, so that tells me decreasing. Okay, let's look at increasing and decreasing intervals. So, first of all, you need to know the difference between linear and nonlinear. Linear is a perfect straight line. Nonlinear is a line that happens to be curved, or it has movement in the line. It is not perfectly straight. So let's look at these examples. The first one, from left to right, if I were to trace this, is this going upward or downward? It's going downward, so it is decreasing. And is this a perfect straight line? Yes, so it is linear. Decreasing, linear. Let's look at the second example. From left to right. If I were to trace this line from left to right, it's increasing. Is it a perfect straight line? No. So it's increasing. Non-linear. Okay? So let's look at the next one. From left to right. It's going upward, So it's increasing. Is it a perfect straight line? Yes, so it is linear. And let's look at the last one. From left to right. It's going downward, so it is decreasing. And that is not perfectly straight, so it is non-linear. Okay, so let's look at describing intervals. Only use, when you're describing, the x values of the function to describe the interval. So you're only going to look at the x-axis between the x numbers. So let's look at some examples over here. Describe the graphed function on the interval -5 to -3. Okay, so let's go find -5 on the x-axis to -3 on the x-axis. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So they want to know between -3 to -5 to -3 what was happening. So from here to here, what was happening? From left to right, what was happening? Increasing or decreasing? It is decreasing. Is it a straight line or not a straight line? So non-linear. Okay, let's look at another section. Describe the graph function on the intervals -3 to -1, and you'll see it written this way. -3 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to -1. -3 to -1. So -1, -2, -3 is right there. Back to -1. So we're looking at this interval right here between these two pieces. What is happening from left to right? It is increasing. And it is a perfect straight line, so it is linear. Okay, let's look at example 3. On example 3, it's asking about describe the graphed function on the interval 1 to 3. So that's going to be on the positive side of the x-axis. 1, 2, 3. So between these points, so from here to here, left to right, because this is 1, goes over 2, and it stops at line 3. What is happening? Increasing. Linear or non-linear? Non-linear, because it's not a perfect straight line. Good. Okay, and let's look at the last example for this particular graph. On this particular graph, the last example is asking what is happening. Describe the graph function on the interval 3 to 5. So on the positive x-axis, 1, 2, 3. So that's where I'll start right there. 4 and 5. So that's where I'll end down here. So we're going to go from left to right, 3, down to 5. What is happening? It is decreasing. Is it linear or non-linear? Linear, absolutely. Great job. I hope this helps. Y'all have a great day.